United States when I was an infant, pretty much. I was 8 months old. And my parents brought me because they wanted me to have a better way of life here in California than in Mexico. And we settled in a city near Bakersfield named Wasco. Have any of you ever heard of Wasco or Bakersfield? Okay. You know, in those areas in the Central Valley, they're all known like for a certain plant or tree or crop. Wasco is the rose capital of the world. We grow more roses commercially than any other place on earth, and a lot of farm workers there. And my parents were farm workers, and I worked in the farms myself. So, how many of you are 13-year-olds are here? A few of you are, right? I started working in the fields when I was 13 years old. And out in the hot sun, we'd start like at 7 a.m. and work to about 4 p.m. every day. And it was hard and hot. You know, it gets to about 115, 120 degrees over the summer, and that's when most of the harvest is taking place over the summer. So that's when most of the kids work. And what I learned there, you know, working in the fields is a few things. Number one, I learned about Santos Chavez. That's one of our great role models. He made sure that farm workers could have a better salary so they could take care of their families, but also better working conditions. So farm workers, because they're out working in the agricultural fields, sometimes it's hard for them to get access to water, access to a restroom, or access to better tools. And because of Cesar Chavez, he was able to ensure those things. So things are a little bit better, but they're still not perfect. You know, I think that about the past 10 years, close to 20 people have died of heat exhaustion in the fields. It's still very hard. Also, Cesar Chavez fought against many of the very bad pesticides that farm workers would come into contact with, especially around grapes. And so he made sure to eliminate those pesticides from the use of certain crops so that it's safer for people to work in the fields. I also learned that I didn't want to work in the fields the rest of my life. I knew that I wanted to study, and I did. So I went to high school, did really well. I went to UC Irvine for undergraduate school, so that's why I'm here in Orange County. I love it here in Orange County. And when I was at UCI, I was in student government. I was in Mencha also. And even actually when I was a freshman in college, I started to go to the state capitol. Because I think we all agree that we don't want people to make decisions for us, you know, whether it be what we're going to eat or what movie to watch. We want to be involved in those decisions. And that's what government is all about. After UC Irvine, I did go to the Capitol. I was there 1 year working on the Senate Budget Committee staff. Then I went to get a master's degree. And how many of you know what the best university in the world is?
Harvard?
Harvard. What's your choice?
There's Harvard,
Yale.
MIT.
Yeah. MIT. What did you say? LCT?
No, OCC.
Orange Coast.
I know
Orange
Harvard.
Coast. Yeah, that's right.
And I'm on that.
Stanford's also a very good school. I went to Harvard University. Feliberto got it correct. I went to Harvard. I was there 2 years, and I thought I can do it. You know, and after I went to college, I encouraged other people to go to college, and they would be nervous to apply. And I said, you know what, just apply, let them decide. You put your name in there, and you put your application forward, and you aren't good enough. They have a lot of competition, so you never know, but I said, let them decide. And sure enough, a few of my friends after me were also able to go to Harvard. And so that's a very cool thing. That's also another very important message that we can't be jealous of one another. You know, we should all strive to go to the best schools, you know, go out to watch the movies that we want, you know, get all shoes that we want, even if they're the same. There's no need to compete. You know, we live in a plentiful world, and there's opportunity for everybody. After Harvard, by the way, one of the hardest things about being in Harvard is there's no Mexican food in Boston, Massachusetts.
Wow.
The closest thing to Mexican food out there, on the tortilla side, they didn't sell tortillas out there. They would sell something called mountain bread. What the, right? So it's kind of, thick, round bread, but maybe about that thick, and I thought, well, close enough. I feel like I'm eating the tortilla. So I would, love to come back home and have, real home-cooked meals for my parents. So I came back to Orange County. I worked in the private sector for various companies doing marketing and government relations. Then I started getting involved in student government here in Santa Ana. Then I got elected to the Santa Ana City Council, where I helped improve our streets, create more parks, fix up Main Street a little bit. Some of you probably play soccer. I helped with get some of the first all-weather turf fields that we have at some of our soccer camps, soccer locations here in Santa Ana, because I want to invest in youth. And some of those soccer fields, when we put those nice turfs that are, weather resistant, you know how much one of those costs to install, even in a place that's already flat? Like we have them at Centennial and Eddie West. How much do you think those soccer fields cost? 10,000. $100? $1 million? They cost $1 to $2 million a year.
Oh.
And that's after you already have the land, that's after it's already flat, because the material, they gotta install it, they gotta find a way so that when it rains, that it's gonna then be able to go under the material and then out to wherever it needs to be, so it's very expensive. But what I would tell these kids though, it's an investment in you. You're worth that $1 million investment. You're worth that $2 million investment. Speaking of investment in ourselves, I also like to speak about every year that you're in school, Giovanni and Ruben and Gilberto and all of you and David, every year between what the state spends and the federal government spends, and I was a state legislator, meaning we write the laws in Sacramento for the whole state of California, and we would say where we should spend all our taxpayer money. So that's where I learned this. We spend every year on Giovanni for him to be in school, $10,000 to be in school. So that by the time he's in, 10th grade, what grade are you in right now? 6th grade. So he's finishing up his 6th grade year. We've already invested, especially because he probably went to kindergarten here. We already invested about $70,000 on Giovanni's future. Isn't that amazing? And we've invested that amount in all of you. And by the time that you're in high school, you're all about $120,000 investment that we have. And we want you to know that you can do something even far better with that investment. Yes?
But I didn't want to preschool.
What's that?
I didn't want to preschool.
You didn't went, I said kindergarten, I didn't say preschool. I said kindergarten. You probably all went to kindergarten. So you're an important investment. In Sacramento, the other thing I learned too is, and up there when I was in Sacramento, by the way, the first years that I was in Sacramento in the capital, do you know who the first governor was before Jerry Brown? Who was the governor before Jerry Brown? He's been in a lot of movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger. So you know what I'd like to say about him is he might have been stronger than me, but I was smarter than him. And that's what I want you to do. Focus on not just exercising your body, but exercising your mind, and you can do it. And one of the things about Schwarzenegger that I didn't like, and that most of us didn't like, is he wanted to eliminate the Cal grants for colleges. We have these special grants that the state pays for to help students go to college, like community colleges, Cal States, UC schools, private schools. He wanted to say the state no longer should pay for that. And we said, pues como? Why would we do that? Since you guys were all young, we all tell you to study hard and go to college. So how are we going to do that and then take the promise away from a little bit of financial help, either based on need or because your grades are really good? So we told Schwarzenegger, no, we're not letting you do that. And so we have the Cal Grant still. So that's a good thing. A little thing about life I want to tell you, because how successful we are isn't just the schooling that we have or the success in our career that we have. It's also how we treat people. And how many of you have ever heard of the golden rule? Here you have, right? Let's see, I think your name is Nico. Nico, what is the golden rule? Nick?
The golden rule should be is that treat others the way you want to be treated.
Exactly. So the golden rule is treat others the way you want to be treated. And I was thinking a little bit more, well, how do you describe that? What does that mean other than just the words behind it? And I thought it's almost like the world is a mirror. And if you smile to the mirror, you're going to get a smile back. Or if you're mean to somebody, they're going to be mean back. And, you know, an important part of character is how we, you know, treat others. I also believe, with respect to education, that the end of all education should be service to others. That's part of one of Santos Chavez's saying. So how we treat others is very, very important. Also, I'm giving a big speech to some UCI college students in a couple of weeks. And one of the neat things saying, so this is almost kind of like a college lesson or a lesson for grown-ups, and we have some grown-ups here. And you know, when you are becoming successful the way I've been lucky to as part of the American dream that I'm living and you all live it in, will live it in different ways. One of the things that I heard that made a lot of sense to me is that the same people that you meet on the way up as you're succeeding are the same people you're going to see on the way down. You know, because you know, one day you'll leave those posts, or one day you'll be old and you're retiring, so you got to treat everybody nicely, because the people that you meet on the way up, on the ladder of success, are the same people you're going to see on the way down. So treat people well. Let me begin to conclude, and then I'll take some questions. The future, you know, the future is bright. You know, I picked a career in politics and in public service, and I've been very happy for that. Many of you will choose other paths, and you know, no one path is better than the other. But I want to keep California and America competitive in the world. You know, we're one of the first-rate countries in the world, but other countries are catching up, and that's okay if others catch up. But we don't want to be left behind. In one area that we're slowly being left behind in, especially boys, because actually the girls are catching up academically in many ways, but in one area that we need to be very competitive, that California is still strong in, is this area of STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. And one thing I know, because I've been a leader at a statewide level, is, you know, for people that do some of these really good jobs at companies like Apple and Google and Boeing, some of these big companies, Chevron, we oftentimes have to hire engineers, and you all probably have heard about engineers. They kind of learn how to build things and structure things, whether it be on the computer side or physical or public works. Every year, because we don't train enough in California, we have to import them from other countries. And these engineers, you know how much we pay them on an average salary every year? Nick?
$10 million.
Well, almost 10. They maybe over their lifetime they make that much money.
1 million?
1 million, some make 1 million. The average salary is at least about $100,000 a year. So they're really good paying jobs. You know, compared to most of our parents here in Santa Ana and Central Orange County, they're making 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times what our parents make in our communities. We also have companies that are in the high-tech area or the biotech area. Same story, you know, that they pay well, they're jobs for the future. Also in healthcare, you know, we all want to live longer, and so we're spending more and more resources on that, and our companies are getting very good at making people live longer. Like, for example, when people have issues with heart valves, it used to be that we would have to cut them up open and spread open their rib cage and fix up their valves. Now there are companies actually just here close by in Santa Ana, Irvine, where they can just insert something through your vein in your leg and control this tube coming up and fix your valve. The valve places itself where it needs to be, and they never have to cut that person open. And so the likelihood of them living and it being a successful career, it being a successful procedure is much more successful. Also something very cool is nanotechnology. Have any of you heard of nanotechnology? A few of you, right? And how many have seen the first G.I. Joe movie? I like the first G.I. Joe movie, by the way, better than the second one. The second one is out right now. But in the first movie, you might remember that there were some weapons with nanomites. Remember that? They talked about nanomite technology. So this is an area that when you're older, there's going to be a lot more work in the area. So a piece of paper, you know how many nanometers thick that is? A piece of paper is about 50 nanometers. So with nanotechnology, things are measured in nanometers. So the thickness of a paper is 50 nanometers. Through this technology, we could build things, create things that are thinner than a paper, and we could create it in a way that you build it and it builds self-assembles. So we're going to be able to very quickly build something super tiny, you know, the thickness of a needle point or the thickness of a paper, and from that, we're going to be able to say, I want you to build a desk, and it'll just automatically build itself. The scary thing is some of these things are so small that these particles, these materials are so thin, they can go, you can lose them. They can go through materials, they can go through your body, and so we got to be mindful of controlling the technology that we create. But very powerful stuff. And you all are going to be the people that we're going to count on to be responsible, to do things that are going to be good for mankind. Also, some of these areas sometimes can be tough. People like to give up. And I actually have somebody that pretty much is a cousin of mine, Jose Hernandez, who's an astronaut. I actually brought him to Santa Ana about 10 years ago. Jose Hernandez became an astronaut, and he applied to be an astronaut. But you know how many times he applied before he got in? Like 10 times. He'd keep applying every year, and NASA would say, nah, you're not good enough. And he'd say, well, let me see what the people that want, what do they do? So they studied that. Okay, well, I'm going to study that too. And then he get to apply, get rejected again, and keep improving himself. He didn't give up. And so he became an astronaut, and he's been to space and back. And that's a pretty cool thing. You know, because most of us, after the first try, we would give up. And so we all got to have that persistence in life. Now we'll take some questions. Yes?
Didn't they also do that in New Jameson?
Say that again?
Didn't they also do that in New Jameson?
Could be, I don't know him. But yeah, but a girl, okay, could be. But I also just give this example that here Jose Hernandez is like us. Here Jose Solorio is somebody that went to Harvard. And here you all are people that look like me. They have similar experiences. Your parents come from humble backgrounds, and we can do it.
Jose,
We can do it.
Jose
Yes,
Hernandez, the astronaut, also worked in the fields in Stockton
He did?
area.
He did?
He used to, when I remember him, I met him before, he said, you know, I used to work in the fields, I used to look up in the sky and say, I want to be an astronaut. And his buddies would say, yeah, the sun's getting to you, get back to work. You're hallucinating, but
That's right. That's
yeah.
right. He also came from very humble beginnings, also from Michoacan. Yeah. Other questions? About politics, about Schwarzenegger, about the city. What about, as you think about schools in the cities that you live in, what would you like to see better in school that you think would help you or in your community? First, Filiberto, because you had your hand up first, I think. And then Gregory, and then Nick. What would you like to see in your schools to help you?
You want like Centennial Park's bathrooms?
Yeah? Are they pretty jacked up? We need to fix them up a little bit? All right. I'm actually going to go visit and see some. Go look at it. Gregory?
We should like get more supplies for science, so they could do like more projects and.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a good idea. More science supplies. No, that's very good because those supplies can be expensive, but that's what kind of gets you excited, and that's how you learn. Nick?
I think we should get more field trips so we can like visualize.
Okay, more field trips. How many, by the way, see the Big Bang Theory?
Me?
Okay, that's just like that. See, I have a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old boy. So I know how you think. I know you're playing Minecraft. I know you all grew up with yeses. So I was asking my son, he also watches The Office a lot. And I said, I'm also thinking about just not the talk I was going to give to you, but these UCI students. I said, give me, what are some lessons that you learned? What are some of your favorite sayings from The Office? I was asking him. He said, well, I do have a favorite saying from The Big Bang Theory. And he says, business is theoretical, they study physics, and physicists from back then, but the fun is real. So, you know, business is theoretical, but the fun is real, and that's what tours are about, and experimenting. There was another question over here somewhere? Yes?
Well, I'm in high school, and since middle school, our school lunches have very much declined in quality, and it's very greasy and unhealthy, and it's like, where's the brain power? Like, you know, calories are supposed to fill your brain, and it makes you kind of feel lethargic after trying to eat it, because it looks like someone just snatched it on the floor.
Right.
And it has like hairs.
Yeah, no, that's one area that I think local communities and schools and community leaders and the state need to keep working on, because maybe about 10 years ago, we did start writing laws to say, hey, let's make our lunches more nutritional, but I'm still baffled that they're not. I've also seen debates, and I've been involved a little bit myself, that even in Washington, because some of these rules come from Washington, in terms of what we could fund and what's healthy or not, they count the spaghetti sauce as a vegetable. And it's like, no, you can't count a little bit of, you know, sauce as a vegetable. So we're meaning that they count pizza as a vegetable. That's not right. It makes no sense. Did you have a follow-up? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, the worst part of it is that students aren't even eating lunch now, because it's just so bad, so it's like, you have like lethargic teenage students who are like, I want to sleep.
Yeah, no,
No food.
no, it's very bad. I agree. Yes? One of the things, as we're talking about food, one of the things that I want to see in young people, and maybe it could even be someone here, I truly believe that we can create healthier food that's more economical and that's less humane, and that meaning that won't have to kill animals to eat our food. I, for example, and you could find it at the store, but there's even a little business run by Latinos over off of Warner and Maine, Salvador Ochoa's Chorizo. They sell chorizo made out of soy chorizo. So it's vegetarian, and I just bought it a couple days ago. It tastes very good, and I know that we could, if we wanted to, as human species, create food that is, again, healthier, more economical, and tastes better. But in this world of politics and business, these companies that make food make a lot of money, so they want us to continue to eat products made out of beef and chickens and all those other, you know, little creatures, and I think we could do better. And I think we could be more humane, and again, I think the food would be more economical, tastier, also better for our global environment, because do you know that the production of animals to feed humans, that causes more greenhouse gas emissions than cars do? And it's because of the food involved, that we gotta feed all those little creatures. It's also, I hate to say this, but it is what it is, pedos. All the pedos they make, you know, also have just a lot of harmful chemicals, and so those animals create more greenhouse gas emissions than vehicles. True story. True story. Yes?
I think they should add that to the food chain.
Add what to the food chain?
The eating healthy.
Eating healthier, absolutely. I agree.
I also think that it's better for schools, for intermediate schools, to have more handball courts, and because most people don't like get able to play handball.
Because there aren't as many, huh? No, that's a good idea. We every now and then got to figure out what are the sports that kids like to play. Like we, for example, in Santana still have a lot of tennis ball courts, but they don't get used as much. But yet, everyone's fighting for soccer fields. So we always got to keep checking in with you on what sports facilities that we want. Absolutely. Good. Any last question? Yeah.
If it would be able to make an art class in car,
You'd be able to make
an art class in car.
car. Okay, but more. I think what he's bringing up, sometimes they're not accessible to everybody, and because the economy shrunk these past few years, you know, the federal government and the state took a lot of money away from schools, and so there's been less art classes. So now that the economy is growing again, I agree we gotta also spend more money in arts. Because art makes us creative. That's why I spoke about STEM, but some people we shouldn't say we shouldn't have STEM, we should have STEAM. And we should add arts in there as well. And arts make us creative. You know, as someone once told me, actually a former legislator, because I saw her giving this speech, and she said, art is food for the soul. It makes, you know, our soul kind of, you know, think and create and, you know, expand our mind. Or
how about more electives in the school?
And more electives. And more electives. Absolutely, including other languages. Yes. Yes. Well, let me just close, and again, I know you have other speakers. I shared my story that I went to Harvard and served in the state legislature, and now I'm on this community college board here, not because I'm arrogant or stuck up, but to share it because I'm one of you. You know, I came up with humble backgrounds, and if I can do it, you can do it. You know, we can all be a statistic. We are all statistics. But I want you to be a statistic of the student that graduated, the student that got a good career, the student that created healthier food. Those are the kind of statistics we want to see. I can do it, and you're going to do it too. Felicidades. Thank you.